Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to tell you about the books that I read in August. This month I only read 4 books, which is really sad. I started a few other books, but I haven't completed any more yet. In this past month I've started regularly uploading videos on my YouTube channel, which I've been having so much fun with, but I've had a hard time balancing recording videos, editing, and reading, and a full-time job, and taking care of, the rest of my life. So I had a bit of a struggle this month in the reading area, but I hope to remedy that next month. But for now, I will show you the 4 books that I read in August. The first one I finished, I feel like I've already talked about so many times, and that is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor, the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. I won't go into what this one is about, but just know that I loved it and gave it 5 stars. Next, I picked up Other People's Houses by Abby Waxman. This is a story that is pretty much a slice of life type of story, following a bunch of different characters that live in the same neighborhood. Some of them are related. It follows a bunch of women who are moms and their children and their family and the neighbors and how they interact with each other. This story is interesting. It reads like a contemporary but also feels like kind of a thriller because there are secrets that you are wanting to know the answer to, and there are, different people who are acting shady or doing weird stuff. But I don't think there were any murders or anything. It was just like, like real life people who are making mistakes or being nosy about their neighbors and like trying to find out parts of their life. I really enjoyed this book. I think I gave it 4 stars. It was so much fun to just find out what everyone's been up to. And the ending was interesting because this really is like a slice of life type of book where you go into it and you learn about the characters and what's going on for the length of the book, and you do find out some information, but at the end there are still questions that you don't have answers to, or there are things that maybe the characters themselves don't know the answers to because it hasn't happened yet. And at first I was kind of annoyed by that because I want to know everything that's going on, but also I kind of appreciated it because that's how real life works. You don't get to find out everything. You don't get to hear everyone's secrets, and sometimes you don't know the answer for years to come. And it was just a really fun book to read, and also it was hilarious. Mainly the main woman that you follow, and then a couple of things going on, like they were just so funny. And the way that when you listen to the main character's like inner voice, like what she's saying in her head, was so funny. This was so much fun, and I would highly recommend it if that sounds interesting to you. Especially if you have children, I feel like you could appreciate this even more than I did, because I feel like there's probably so many relatable moments dealing with, children and school and teachers, but this was a really fun read. The next book I read all in one night, and that was a reread of To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This I read a few years ago, and I still haven't read the 3rd book yet, but since I saw the movie was coming out, it inspired me to reread the first 2 books and then read the 3rd book. So far I've only reread the 1st book, but it was so much fun, and I forgot how much I love Lara Jean and her family and Peter, and it's just such a fun contemporary book to read and really makes me want to read more contemporary. I'm currently reading the sequel, P.S. I Still Love You, which I'm enjoying less, honestly. But this one's great, and I want to hurry up and finish the trilogy so I can finally watch the movie. The final book I read was The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This book I also read all in one night. So this book follows a woman who has high-functioning autism, and she hires a male escort to help her deal with her social issues she thinks she has, and how to interact with people better, and teach her other things to help her in the boyfriend department. And of course they end up falling for each other, but this story was just so heartwarming and cute. But I did have some issues with it. Like, I knew it was a romance book, but I didn't know it was like super graphic. And at the beginning it was like a bit much for me, but it was so cute that I was okay with it. But then at about the midway point, like, it just gets very graphic, explicit, which is fine. I just didn't know it was going to happen, and it's just not something that I'm interested in. So I did like flip through some of that because it was just making me uncomfortable. But besides that, the characters were just so sweet. There was a lot of like things that weren't really believable, or like interactions that just didn't seem probable. Like, how many times can you guys accidentally run into each other when you live in like LA, I think? You know, there were just some things that were harder to believe that pulled me out of the story. The whole ending could have been solved easily if the people would just tell each other things or be honest with each other, and that's just so frustrating whenever, you know, the whole plot issue comes down to miscommunication or characters lying to each other. But overall, it was a super cute book, and I read the whole thing in a night, so obviously I didn't dislike it too badly, and I think I gave it 4 stars. It was really fun, and I do know that the author is going to write a companion book following the male character Michael's cousin, I think, who also has autism. So I do want to read that, and although I didn't like how graphic it got, I did like the adult romance part of it. I guess the adult contemporary romance part, and I do want to pick up more books to see how I feel about those. So those are all of the 4 books that I read this month, and I hope that next month I will do much better at balancing my life and reading, because I have so many books that I want to read next month. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.